Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Red Sox Now. Happy summer. The dog days of summer, that's what they call it in baseball. I'm your host, Mike Antonellis. Make sure to give me a follow at the Radio Mike on X and pretty much all social channels, with the exception of Twitch. I am behind the mic. We do some pre-games and some post-games on Twitch. I'm actually on Blue Sky as well. I noticed that Alex Spear is exclusively on Blue Sky and he's off of X. I totally understand that. So Mike Antonellis on Blue Sky, and would love the follow. Would love the subscription. If you could subscribe to the channel, we're over 1,000. The views on the shows are fantastic. A big credit to all of you, guys and gals, boys and girls. We have youngsters watching as well. Couldn't thank you enough. I'll keep thanking you every day, and it's a lot of fun. Love doing this every day. We don't have weekend shows. Maybe we change that. Red Sox are off on Thursday, and then they open up that big series against the Dodgers, where it looks like Mookie Betts is going through some personal stuff. Not with him, family stuff. He might not be there Friday. So I was with Mookie in Portland, and when you're with guys as a broadcaster, it's different. They're kind of like family. At my age, they're kind of like kids. So I hope nothing but the best. So it breaks my heart if something really bad has happened in Mookie's family, and just hope for the best. So we'll get to the game here in just a second. Romy Gonzalez again against lefties, big hit. Do want to talk about the Jeff Passan report because I think it's completely overblown. July 14th, he said the Red Sox were a pitcher away from a World Series and had everybody just going, oh, they're getting in the World Series now. But I don't think what he really said was as crazy. I don't think we always read everything. Once something gets on social media, it just turned into, oh, they're not doing anything. But if you read the whole article, it really doesn't say much at all, and it's pretty much what we all have been talking about. So we'll get into that, and of course your terrific comments on. We're in the 90s with episodes, but let's get to the game first. Unbelievable game, and for those asking why you don't bunt in extra innings. You saw it in the 11th. You saw it in the 10th. You scored a run, they came right back. You scored 2 in the 11th, they came right back and scored a run because they had Turner, Schwarber, and Harper. One thing, if you watch the game, and I watched every pitch, I love Trey Turner's approach. If you watched him at the plate, did you see how he just reached out for a 101 mile per hour sinker against Hicks and doubled? But the way he just moved the runner over in that extra inning to get the runner over, like that guy, those are the little things in the game you got to watch, like bat control, plate coverage. He is so good at that. But I love what they did. You got to play the game that way in extra innings. I know it's me against all of you, and you all disagree with me because of the record, but you can't. With Turner, Schwarber, and Harper coming up in the bottom of the 11th inning, you cannot try to have a one-run lead with Alcala pitching. So I had no problem with how they played that. Actually, they had Castellanos, Realmuto, but earlier, even in the 10th inning is when they had Turner, Schwarber, and they tied the game up just like that. So that's why you play for 2 runs. And that was an excellent at-bat by Narvaez. But what I liked about this game was the fight. You're down 5-0 on a getaway day against the guy who I thought was dealing. I mean, he was dealing. Sinker at 99, sweeper at 88. I don't care what his numbers are compared to Giolito, because I heard some people, they said, well, his numbers aren't good as Giolito. The stuff is not even comparable. Luzardo's stuff, now he's lefty too, but his stuff is not even, Giolito's not even in the same area code as him stuff-wise. But man, did he lose it. And the guys on the broadcast were saying, from the stretch, he is a disaster. That is why Fitz went from the windup the other night. And you lose mechanics, you lose velocity from the stretch. But man, he got any adversity for Luzardo, and he just couldn't deal with it. That drop pop-up when it was 5-0 kept you in the inning. You had the walks and then the Romy grand slam. That inning was unbelievable. Yeah, well, if it wasn't for that drop pop-up, I agree, but that happens. That happens. Better than striking out, right? At least you put the ball in play and you got another chance. But that was truly remarkable. Down 5-0, not looking good. Pitchers dealing. You took one little opening in that game and you ran with it. And you scored 6 runs. And you didn't have many hits. You didn't have many opportunities. And then they tie it against Chapman. And then they tie it again. And you just kept fighting. I thought that was, this might not be a World Series team. Heck, maybe they don't make the playoffs. But I think for their makeup and the way that they go about their business as pros, I'm very impressed. There are teams that can be good and have good records and not be likable. This is a very likable team. But that, to me, showed a lot. Just the way that they battled. That's a tough feeling. Down 5-0, getaway night, guys dealing in Philly. And you put together, what was the big part of it for me? The at-bats, the walks, the way that you laid off and just spit on anything Luzardo threw. Their bullpen actually did a good job that series, and their bullpen has struggled, but I thought their bullpen was pretty good. And a lot of strikeouts again, 16 more. They had 44 in the 3 games. Now, extra innings, but that's still a lot of strikeouts. Luzardo dominated. And something that Alex Cora said about good pitching, I mean, it's good stuff. Like when they face good stuff, Luzardo they had no chance in that game. But they got an opening, and they did it. Narvaez with the home run in the 11th to win it. But Romy with that huge grand slam. I loved how they used the bullpen. I have no issues with Chapman coming in. Chapman pitching that extra inning and giving up a home run has nothing to him coming in has nothing to do with it. JT Realmuto's good. It happens. It happens. It was 100 miles an hour. I know on ESPN it said 99, but I have a private portal here that I look at. The pitch was 100. The stuff was still there in that next inning, and I have no issues how they managed that game. I loved how Alex Cora managed that game. He got Giolito out of there. He played that game like a playoff game. Brought in Justin Wilson in the 5th. He gave you 2 scoreless. Hicks gave you 2/3 scoreless. Chapman got you out of that inning. Whitlock was great. Weiser gave up, those runs are unearned. I liked how Alcala threw. That's his first high leverage, and he looked good. And then Bernardino locked down the save with the strikeout. But I loved how they played that game. And I love the flexibility where you can bring Bregman off the bench. Why didn't Bregman start? This is the plan. They were talking about it on the radio. The trainers work with Breslow and Cora, and to play with this injury still. I think we forget. I'm not going to say he's injured, but he's still hurting. He's not healed. You don't come back 5 weeks earlier and it's all better. So you have to manage this. And yes, he has to not start and play. That's part of it. But you were able to bring Anthony and Bregman off the bench last night. See, I like this for now. For where the flexibility that you have. Those are pretty 2 good pinch hitters. And Toro, and we'll get to that too. Let's squeeze that in right now. Meyer is hurt. He's wearing a brace, according to Alex Spear, on his injured right wrist. He didn't know the exact nature of the injury aside from the fact there was immediate discomfort. He expects he'll need imaging. That's not good. He couldn't compare this. He had a wrist sprain of 2022. That was so long ago. So that's not good. If anything, he'll probably be down a couple of weeks. So, like I've mentioned and we've talked about, and I think a lot of you do agree with me, this whole tons of depth that I hear, I get it. You have one extra player. But now if he goes down, that changes everything. And this is what we talked about before, and I think a lot of you had said this too. You're not accounting for like Joe Random getting hurt, which is Meyer. We're talking more about Bregman and Yoshida, who have been injured, haven't played a lot recently. They can't play every day, but then you couple that with a guy that just got hurt. And there's no magic button that says that more people can't get hurt. So for this situation, I felt if you're a team in a wild card lead and you're playing to win, it's okay to do what they're doing for now. And I know I've repeated that, but there's people that are new to that. I don't have a problem with it. And I think Cora does like it. I mean, late in the game, I love when you have a chance to hit Bregman or Roman Anthony. And Roman looked great last night. I know he struck out, but God, for 21 years old, and you're putting him in the middle of a pennant race and hitting him high in the order and making him pinch hit. They've asked a lot of him. Devers is gone. You're now DHing. That's a lot to put on a kid. Think about being 21. Think about being 21 in the big leagues for the Red Sox in the middle of a playoff race. He's handled it. I mean, you got to look at that side of him. It's off the charts to me. It really is. His makeup. It really is. All right, let's get to the passing report because I think people are freaking out and you shouldn't be. I'm here to calm you, all right? I'll read it. At this moment, the Red Sox are not inclined to engage in any large-scale deadline moves. Okay, at this moment, Passan wrote. Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow said the team wants to add after trading Devers, and while it would surprise no one if they did, Boston is an organization that deeply values operating efficiently. Last year, at the deadline, Anthony and Meyer were in every trade. That's the point. But I know nobody read this. All right? An out-market like this is the epitome of inefficient. Holding now would speak to Red Sox's comfort with their current roster and the exceptional price to bolster it. Why are you freaking out on this? That doesn't mean they're not going to make moves. It basically means they're not going to give up. It's going to cost. The Twins just said for Duran and Griffin Jacks, 2 relievers, they want 2 top 100 prospects. You still aren't convinced because you're still using the crochet model for some reason. Off-season. But what he said is nothing. It doesn't mean they're not going to do anything. And don't believe what GM has come out right now and said, we are going all in. No, Dombrowski's not even saying it. You're not going to show your hand. But what he said there is it's no big deal. And I don't want the Red Sox to show their hand in this. But him saying the epitome of inefficient, the market like this is the epitome of inefficient. Because it is. I think every GM agrees with that. But we took that as they're not going to do anything now. You shouldn't. Stop overreacting to everything like that. And everyone overreacted to this. Read the article. Make critical thinking of it. And he said the team wants to add after trading Devers. And it would be while it'd be a surprise if no one did. And I don't have an issue with that. You want your organization to operate efficiently. You would have been mad. I know you were all mad last deadline, but how would you, now that you know that Anthony and Meyer are pretty much in every deal, like they would be it's going to take more than Jostis and Garcia. So I have no issues with what he said. There hasn't been any GMs that are screaming, yes, look at us. We will give you anything you want. No. So don't worry about it. I don't think there's anything. And would you want Craig Breslow telling baseball writers everything that they're doing? No, they're not going to tell them that. No one knows. There's going to be things that no one knew the Devers thing was happening. No one knew that. No one leaked that. All right, let's get to your fantastic comments as always. At blah, 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 blah. I can't figure out your handle is in a different language. I'm sorry. Do whatever it takes to get Ryan. These pitchers don't come around often. No guarantee they'll be available in the offseason. Yeah. I don't think the Twins are a give-up organization like the White Sox, like I've said. I don't think they're doing this. 2 years of control, winnable division. Just because they might not make the playoffs doesn't mean they're going to dismantle. That if you think about it, makes no sense. They're not that bad. Then they go into next season without a number 1 pitcher. Unless they move him to get like a Keller. See, we don't know, which would be counterproductive. But again, if you want them to do whatever, that's going to be 25-man roster guys. At Pete Cohen 19, I'm glad Anthony is sitting tonight. He's been very underwhelming for a number 1 prospect. Pete, you're too hard on him. I know he'll probably get better next year. I'd like to see him hit the weight room along with Meyer. I I messaged Pete this. Look at him in high school. You won't believe what he looked like. I was around him a lot this year and Meyer. They are a lot bigger than they look. You'd be surprised seeing them in person. But I don't think Anthony has been underwhelming at all. Look at Jack Caglione and how he started with the Royals. It's interesting. I haven't heard a peep about Jack Caglione. He went up before Meyer. He's one of the top prospects in all of baseball. He's hitting 148. 22 years old for the Royals. 148. I think Anthony has been unbelievable. At Pim Fozy, why would you not bunt Duran? He's struggling and is a hack. Get the run, man. All right. A lot of the hitters are hacks. I mean, I think you're overdoing it a little, but no. What you saw last night in the 11th is why they don't bunt. You play for 2. Philly answered both times in extra innings. That team's too good. Like I said, though, I'm not opposed to playing for a run if you have Chapman available in the bottom of the inning. All right, fantastic episode. Thursday of Red Sox Now. They're off, and then they host the Dodgers for 3. That's going to be a fun series. No Ohtani will pitch in that series. Kershaw will pitch one of the games as well, and it looks like no Mookie. We hope the best for Marcelo Meyer. We want your comments. I'll try to answer them all day. I'll be in and out, but we love your comments. Subscribe to the channel, and make sure to follow me on social media at The Radio Mike. Happy Thursday, everyone. Thank you for watching Red Sox Now, presented by Fan Arch.